always very confused by what our everything does.
Not everything.
Yeah, we're so bad at this. Hang on.
Mean.
Because I was telling the lovely people that they should come and hang out with us and we'll pretend.
I see.
Which is why we have what is apparently called British pub bangers.
I'm not sure I'm going to like very many of these at all. I might have to spend a lot of time skipping tracks on this one.
Are you dissing the bangers? So rude.
Not my normal vibe. Hello.
See, and now you can order a drink, and I will fetch it for you.
You just...
I have a selection.
She's holding my wine hostage. That's what's happening now, just for anybody wondering.
You could have ordered wine or a vodka
Thank you.
or flat water with pink stuff in it.
Cool. Hello. Thanks for joining us, everyone. It's always a little bit anxiety-inducing that we might be sitting here talking to ourselves.
Yeah, but we've got wine and British pub bangers. I don't know. Can anyone actually hear the music? I have no idea.
Can you hear
Ruth put it on the
us
floor.
all right?
We don't know.
I don't know.
We don't know.
It's a secret.
No one is telling us. How is everyone? How is 20?
We can't hear anything. Okay.
As in, you can't hear the music, Mary, or you can't hear us either. Okay, smidge of music.
I don't want to turn it up too much because I won't be able to hear.
We can switch it to not the British pub bangers.
No. I won't be able to. Like, I don't want to. It's fine. I'm just going to leave it.
You can put it under there sneakily. I don't know what that does, but
It's just distracting. Okay, you can hear us. That's the important thing.
that's what you think. We're not going to say anything useful.
What are we talking about? What are we doing? What is life?
That is a much bigger question.
Okay,
We are
cool.
answering questions.
Marvelous.
Oh, see the sneaky underneath stuff. We're not really doing very much as far as, this is the plan goes. We just realized we haven't been live in quite a long time. And so we wanted to come and check in. Say hello. Welcome people to 2021, which looks an awful lot like 2020. We can't even show them the snow because the snow's not here till tomorrow.
Apparently it's going to snow tomorrow. It's very exciting.
Tomorrow, Monday, Tuesday and Wednesday.
It's a lot of slow for London. How was our Saturday? How was our Saturday? It was good. We went to hug some goats.
You liked our Saturday.
It's 2012. 2012 was not bad in retrospect. What happened in 2012? What were we doing in 2012?
2012. I don't know. I haven't got there in the journaling yet. I'm only in 2009. 2012, I was at Cable Manor, and that would mean that you were at Yulu or whatever.
I hadn't seen it yet, had I? No, I didn't. I finished in 2011.
No, that other place.
No, I hadn't started yet.
Oh, okay.
That was the Waterstones year.
We should listen to what Deanna has to say. 2012 was literally the best year of their life.
Cool.
2012 was pretty good. 2012, I took a lot of photographs, touching a lot of animals I'd never touched before.
yeah, it's already feeling a little bit like 2021 might be slipping away from us. I was looking at like my work calendar for taking holiday and things, and it was like, oh well, maybe we could, take some leave in April, and maybe at that point in time things would be a little bit more like less locked down. And it's like, but no, April is actually really not very long away.
Well, and we were just talking about in February 2009, we had snow day here in London. And a friend of ours had it come up on their Facebook memories. And I said, well, yeah, no, but that can't be right because that was February. Then later realizing that it is February because we're done with January. And yet nothing has happened. I sort of remember doing stuff. It was nice. We went out places, we saw people, we touched people.
Exciting times.
But today, we touched goats. I can maybe show people how we touch goats.
I don't know what's working out.
No. Oh, so nearly. There we go. Ruth touched a goat.
That's my friend Fred.
We went to see Fred today.
See Fred.
Because goats cannot get COVID, so you can touch them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Now, I send you all of the questions that we've had in advance also.
Yeah, you did.
Which means that maybe you could also play the game. Thank you to everyone who sent in questions, by the way. It's always very helpful when we're just, randomly rambling about stuff. It's actually normal for years to feel shorter as you get older because the longer you live, the smaller percentage of your life that 1 year is.
Mm.
No, that makes perfect sense. It's all about context. Ooh, Wisconsin has snow.
Snow. Everybody has snow except us.
Hey, Julie. Julie also has snow. Everyone has snow.
Snow.
We're going to have snow tomorrow. Mary's not going to have snow.
Allegedly, we're going to have snow.
Yeah.
It's always a little bit alleged in London. What we usually have is about 3 inches of slush.
Well, you snow for a bit, and then a car goes over it, and then that's it.
What's your favourite thing about podcasting?
What's my favourite thing about podcasting? I think, honestly, it's the community. Like, I hadn't quite realised or hadn't quite thought about the fact that, I don't know, it's weird because I've been involved in fandom for so long and I've created for fandom for like 15, 20 years. And there's always a community around creation, but for some reason it didn't quite translate in my head that podcasting was going to work the same way.
Mm.
So like all of you people, what's your favourite thing about podcasting?
I like the moments I have when I either think of something new or think of something in a new way, or somebody says something that makes me think of like reframe something. Like I like with content that I'm familiar with that I've loved for a long time. I love that moment where it's like, holy shit, that thing that's really interesting and that really works, and that happens because like I think of something new, it happens because you say something, it happens because we get a write-in from somebody who says something that's like, yeah, no, that has reframed my entire understanding of this bit of story, and that
is one of the things that I really like. So we always, like both of us, always try and listen back on a podcast episode we put out at least once, and then you're a lot better about, like when we start the new season of something, Ruth's really good about going back to listen to at least like the last half of the season before that, to get some context. I don't do that. But I always really like when we get to somewhere in a conversation and then one of us will go, oh yeah, interesting, and we do. It's quite low key. Like we're not like oh my god, you're a genius, I can't believe you said that. But I always know when something either I said caught you by surprise or something you said caught me by surprise, like from our tone. And it is always quite good fun when that happens.
I think especially like like when it's us, because it's less surprising to me when like a listener writes in and says something because
But you haven't had that
because I
conversation.
haven't had the
with them for
conversation
10
with them
years.
yet. So it's like, well, that makes sense that they'd have a completely different like way of seeing this scene or this moment or this character or whatever. So like
We have talked about all of
yeah.
these things
I
previously.
find it always kind of a little bit like new thoughts.
New thoughts?
From you. My goodness.
I don't have any new thoughts. I barely have thoughts. Full stop. You have to be in charge of comments because they're all the way over there. This is not social distancing.
That's okay. Lots of snow talk.
Oh no snow in Brazil. No snow in Brazil, no.
No, I can imagine there wouldn't be any snow in Brazil. That must be surprising if there was ever snow in Brazil. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's super weird because in December we barely had any snow, and I live in the north of Europe. But now in January and February there's so much, and it's one of those things that I tried to think back the other day when I had the last snowy Christmas in Switzerland, and it was a long time before I moved here.
Yeah.
And like all the actually cold months have all moved into January and February.
I mean,
like snow in February is now standard.
Yeah, we've always tended towards colder New Year's than Christmases in England. Like January and February tend to be colder, which makes sense because we're an island, so we get everybody else's cold weather slightly like
You get everyone else's leftovers.
right
in weather and language.
Yeah, it has become particularly extreme the past few years.
Puppy person's trying to remember whether there's snow in Merlin. There's an entire snow season.
There's a snow season. We're about to end. Are we about to enter the snow season? Is this the snow season?
No.
I think it is. No.
No. Surely season 4 opens with Merlin getting Arthur's shirt out of the kitchen where he makes it smell like chicken.
Oh yeah, no, that's true.
Yeah,
that's true.
And he's got that new purple shirt.
Mary says 2 episodes of season 5. I believe you. You know,
Ruth knows nothing about Merlin. Not sure why we're doing a podcast about it.
I forget.
What's your least favorite thing about podcasting?
Editing. Editing's a pain. It's boring and tedious. I don't like doing it. There's also like, I think with anything, part of the reason that it's good and part of the reason that like it's fulfilling is that you do it regularly, right?
Mm-hmm.
That it's no use just doing it once.
Yeah.
But obviously part of that is that you then have an obligation to keep on doing it. And so, you know, I hate recording when I don't want to record.
Yes.
It's like, it's the same as any art, you know, it's kind of like any content thing that you're doing that you do for pleasure. It's like as soon as you put like an obligation or time pressure on it, then it's a bit like, and now it's got to this point and I should feel like this is something fun, and I don't. I feel like I'm doing it because it's a task or because it's a chore. That makes me feel bad because I should. I'm doing it because I want to do it, and it makes me feel bad because
mine's kind of
I'm then forcing you to take like a sort of more leading role in the conversation. He's like, there's a whole bunch of stuff.
He's like, let's focus. Gonna have fun. No, mine's kind of weirdly more layered than that. It's like, especially at the moment, because we are just getting back into it after like the Christmas and New Year's break,
and always have sucked at getting back
into it. And it's that layering, because we're really good about sitting down and making like a schedule. Like, you know, we've got 2021 planned out, and we're also really good about putting in quite a lot of buffer space. So we make we schedule where the episodes are going to be released, but we also put in where the episodes are going to be recorded, because otherwise we wouldn't. And we do allow ourselves quite a lot of slippage on that schedule, but at the same time I then make myself feel bad for slipping, even though we planned to allow for slipping. And also, you know, when we actually pull our finger out, sit down and record, I enjoy it. So I feel bad for making myself feel bad about going to do it when I know intellectually it's gonna be fun. And it's really weird. Is that like double layer of guilt and I don't know. Like I almost need to like psych myself out. There's like, oh, just take me upstairs. Don't tell me what we're doing. And then boom, microphone.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah.
Puppy's very excited. It's going to be snow. There's going to be snow. There's quite a lot. I don't know. I feel like there's loads of snow. Like I do call it the snow season always. I think it's just one episode, but
Well, isn't it the opening, isn't it? Because it's
yeah, I think
all
so.
all the,
Running into snow and falling down.
Yeah, and snow ghosts and things.
Sure. you mean season 4 opener?
Oh no! See, that's where I get into
It's not a
trouble.
snow ghost.
That's where I get into trouble because yeah, no,
Yeah.
you're right. Okay, I'm making things up.
There's no snow ghosts.
Oh.
No spoilers, turns out, for Merlin. Rather than careful spoilers. Yep. All I remember about the snow episode is the bloopers. It's quite rightly
There's
so.
a lot of footage of
So
Owen
much
Madden
falling
falling over.
down. So much falling down. Yasmina wanted to know what was the process like for starting your own podcast, and what inspired you to do so. Ruth should take this one. I
What
was just in the wrong place at the wrong time.
what inspired us to start a podcast? What inspired me to start a podcast is that I got sort of into listening to podcasts, and was getting into Shadowhunters, and Shadowhunters is a weird show and a confusing show, kind of as far as analysis is concerned. There's a lot to say and a lot to think about, and the show's very lightweight in spite of that, so it's a slightly bizarre thing to think about and to talk about. And I was really wanting meta. I was really wanting kind of analysis and criticism, and there wasn't anything to listen to. So I was like, you know what, there should be. I should do this. And then I said to Michelle, I was like, I think I want to start a Shadowhunters podcast. And she was like, that sounds great. You go ahead and do that. You have yourself a ball. And
very much in a like, because I knew Ruth was listening to podcasts, and I hadn't listened to a single podcast in my life ever. And like we talked about it every now and again, but it wasn't a format that I was into. And then Ruth goes, I want to start a Shadowhunters podcast. And as you do, if you're a nice friend, you support your friends. So I said, I think you should. I'd listen to that. I wasn't going to listen to it.
No, and I
said
no,
I would.
No, you have to do it with me. I'm not doing it by myself. That's the deal. You have to do it with me. So I press ganged Michelle into starting a podcast with me, basically.
So you inspired me to start a podcast. / forced.
As for the process,
so the process really for us, because Shadowhunters was on hiatus at the time, it was between seasons. So we looked at the date he was going to return, and then we worked backwards, saying, okay, so we have, I don't know, it was like 30 weeks, and there's 60 episodes that have already come out. So if we record 2 episodes per podcast and release weekly, and if then we can get done with everything that's out and then go live when the show comes back, if we start 10 days from now. So really the process of getting into it was really stressful.
yeah.
And mostly both of us just spend an awful lot of time watching how to start a podcast, YouTube videos, and like reading blogs and stuff.
Yeah. I mean, we're both a little bit perfectionisty, I think, about things that we're putting out into the universe. Like, if we're sharing content, I think both of us feel quite strongly that it should be as good as we can make it. And considering neither of us had ever podcasted before, that was maybe a little bit overambitious. And certainly our first season of Shadowhunters is not the quality to which you've become accustomed.
No.
But I think it was both of us felt it was really important to like do it as well as we could from the off. So we spent a lot of time setting ourselves up with the tech and the systems and the accounts and
Well,
the
and like
whatever else.
like doing research into the tech people were using, and we decided that we wanted a website very early on, despite the fact that no one has a website anymore these days.
Yeah.
We just wanted a location that people could go to. But also, like, we recorded the very first episode of Shadowhunters, and like we had a whale of a time. We thought we were hilarious, and then we sat down, we listened back, and we wanted to shoot
Yeah,
ourselves.
no, it was very good. So we recorded the first episode of Today. We recorded twice.
Yeah, and we have never released that first one. I probably still have it because I keep all of this stuff for posterity. It will go into that F&F museum.
Yeah.
That's going to happen at some point.
I think it was the only episode
But-
we've ever like straightforwardly just
Re-recorded.
re-recorded.
Yeah, I mean, there's been again because we were starting out, we weren't that great with the tech. There was obviously days when one or the other of us forgot to turn their microphone
we've
on,
had like technical failures. and
so we
therefore
had
needed
to re-record. But
I think that's the only one
Yeah.
we've just straight up sort of gone, no, we need to do this again.
well, and we kind of tried to save bits from it because there was like some bits that were really
Yeah,
good, and then we tried to
it's-
like slice and dice them, and it's like no. And we have very much learned that re-recording, just always, it's just so much easier and more straightforward than trying to bodge job it. Like, just it's not worth it. Mark Allen wants to know whether Bradley James still gets his kit off in the snow.
Yeah, Mary answered that. No.
Oh, okay.
No, he
Yeah.
doesn't. Everybody
But-
remains fully clothed in the snow.
But Bradley James still gets his kit off.
I mean, of course.
So
Merlin
you can
would not
still
be
continue
Merlin.
watching.
If Bradley James remained fully clothed through the app throughout all of it.
Ridiculous notion. But so it's still worth watching.
Yeah.
Have we listened to the normal, not normal podcast that had Tom Hopper guest on it?
I have not.
No. I listened to the Fathoms Deep podcast that had Tom Hopper guest on it.
Yes.
Tom Hopper, who sounded very nonplussed, certainly at the beginning.
He was very well meaning. It was all very well intentioned. He was very game.
Well, it's like if you think that I say, that how often that I want to marry Bradley James, then listen to Fathoms Deep.
If you like Black Sails, listen to Fathoms Deep.
If you don't like Black Sails, go and watch Black Sails. You will like it, and then listen to Fathoms Deep.
Yeah.
But they are much more vocal about the men and the hunky. Yeah. Positively tame in comparison. So on that note,
How bizarre. Abby says the Normal Not Normal podcast is hosted by the Phelps twins, as in the Weasley twins from Harry Potter.
okay, fair enough. And that was quite good fun. It was quite like them. They were like the only, certainly at the time, like the only grown-ups in press rounds.
Hello, Janita. Yeah, I mean, relatively speaking, abysmal actors, bless them. But
The two of them, they had half a talent.
yes, Giles in Dead Man Party is really the only reason to watch that episode. You can
That is the only saving grace.
get it in
Yeah,
gift form. It's fine.
yeah. Look at my mask. Isn't it pretty? It raises the dead. He is good fun. He's very good fun. Actually, seeing as I think Mark Allen is still here, Mark Allen wanted to know, did anyone else faint seeing the Damien promo photo? And that was a very specific singular, and I don't know which one.
I haven't seen any Damien promo photos.
Well, I got you some options
Okay.
of the Bradley James Instagram because I didn't know there was this
Right, yes.
with the oily. How did I make this work last time? There we go.
you go.
With the oily chest. I'm just gonna do it on here. Then there's this
Yeah.
with the devil goatee,
Serious business. Yeah.
and there was also this where he was interviewing, but also giving sneaky thumbs up to
Cool.
Damien.
Yes, nice.
And I'm assuming the oily, but I don't know whether it is the oily. Mostly, I want to wash him. Oh, I made us really yellow. I'm sorry.
That's okay. I'll go back in a minute.
Don't do it.
That's not going to help.
I'm assuming the oily.
I've seen the oily. I mean,
Ruth has not fainted so far.
I'm not
Fall
inclined
down.
to
Fall
fancy-
down. I mean, it's very pretty. But in this, very sticky. Very sticky.
I have to say, possibly sacrilegiously, Bradley Jones has never really done it for me. I mean, he's a very handsome man. She pretends like she didn't know that. She knew that.
Well, that you had no taste. Yeah, I didn't know that. Which one's Oliver? Out of the Weasley twins.
I don't know.
Okay.
Either Fred or George.
The problem is, like in real life, they're still twins. I know this shouldn't be a surprise, but yeah,
They looked quite different.
they really don't look very much the same, and I'm sure they look less the same now that they're older as well.
Yeah.
So they're sort of our age, aren't they? Sort of.
George is Oliver. James is Fred.
Which one's lost his ear? Oh,
That's-
ponies.
Outside.
Sorry,
not
police
in our living
ponies.
room. George is the one
You're
who
a bad Harry Potter
George is the
fan.
one who loses his ear, right? Because Fred's the one who dies.
Spoilers for Harry Potter.
But it's Harry Potter.
Yeah, George lost his ear.
Yeah,
Fred
Yeah,
died.
there you go. I remembered. I worked it out.
Okay. Okay.
Because it would be like, I don't know what bad form to have
lose his ear and then
one-
kill him.
lose his ear and then die. That's all.
Fred is dead.
Fred is dead.
Mary's like, oh, I was avoiding spoilers. It's like no one else was, apparently. It was a long time ago.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
we're past the point of having to spoiler warn for Harry Potter. Giles is a frequent saving grace. He's often the best thing about Buffy episodes.
Certainly, I mean, like all of them are, they're all very good in the really bad episodes. That's kind of what makes me so angry about the really bad episodes of pretty much any television show, which is like,
Particularly.
you just let these people turn up and they still put in an effort. And why? What?
Particularly Buffy. Because everybody's so freaking good at their jobs.
Yeah,
In
and really
Buffy,
professional.
And
Yeah.
it's like, you guys knew when you put this out that this was shite. There's just no, there's no question. If me at 12 could
Yeah,
tell you
yeah.
that this episode was rubbish, all
Yeah.
of you working on this certainly knew it was rubbish because you're very good at your job.
This is depressing. I love the interview where an interviewer asked the twins if they were twins in real life. And one of them was like, no, we met at the audition. That's like the interview.
That unlike.
No. It's like the interview where, Lord of the Rings did it all the time, where every single person in Lord of the Rings was asked, have you read the book before you joined, the cast? But then they asked Peter Jackson whether he'd read the book before, and it's like,
No.
before I wrote the script.
No, I just made it up, and it was bizarrely,
So
coincidentally,
weird.
pretty much exactly the plot
Exactly
of Lord of
the
the Rings. So I just
same.
thought, well, no problem. We'll just squoosh them.
It's fine.
Oh dear. People were very obnoxious about Harry Potter spoilers, just generally. People are dicks.
He dies. He don't die. Destiny and Chicken Season 4 update. Can't wait to participate. Now I've caught up.
Good. Yes.
From I cannot pronounce your name. I'm so sorry.
That's not a question though. That's just an update, as in when
It
we're
is a
coming
question
back.
you
I
can
see.
tell
I
people.
understand. I was like, that was more like a Destiny and Chicken Season 4 update. I'm really looking forward to Destiny and Chicken Season 4.
Oh, I see. You
I was
think
like,
it was them announcing the update?
I'm glad to hear
No, update, question mark.
it. When are we coming back? We're coming back not long. End of the month? the 25th of February.
Or the 52nd.
52nd of February. 25th of February.
We're back on the 25th of February doing the double opener of season 4. So make sure you watch both episodes. Oh, so many words. And they're so far away. Peter Jackson obviously didn't read the book, because if he did, there would have been some dope Tom Bombadil. Yeah, I'm sorry, Mark Allen. Like, I love you, You're like awesome. You're so wrong. Tom Bombadil is so boring, and that was always the obvious thing to cut out. Love you. Sorry.
Oh, damn. You're looking forward to the darkest hour, Janisha. I'm really curious because I
have no idea what
I have
happened.
no idea what's gonna happen.
She thinks we're gonna have snow ghosts.
I think that's no goes. I'm wrong about that, and I know I'm wrong about that. I remember that Colin's going to come back with a really, really growly voice, and that's
Yes.
going to continue to confuse me for like a season and a half. And there's other stuff that I'm pretty sure happens, but I have no idea when it's going to happen. So every week it's going to be a surprise.
And also potentially, like I did say this, I think I said it to Esme on the website the other week, but I'm really quite worried. It's just like that, we're gonna get into season 4 and 5, and like I know, in theory, I know the things that I think are wrong with season 4 and 5, and I could tell you those things right now, but I really don't remember all that much other than what I know is wrong with season 4 and 5. So I'm just kind of scared.
The thing is like I have quite a lot of like thoughts, opinions, and things in my head that I think about, like the overall arc and how things progress and how things like what doesn't happen and what does happen. But I have no real clue as to what I think about the episodes to episodes, which is very different from, like, I knew I hated the Goblin episode before we watched it.
Yes.
That's not a surprise.
You didn't know how much.
I didn't
you
know
hated
how
it
much.
and in what particular way.
But like I was, I was looking through season 3, so I go, oh, Christ, the Goblin episode, here we go. But I have no, like, I know what I think of the overall season arcs. No, that's not going to change because, I'm great about that. But like, but I don't know what I think of.
She says casually.
Well, but I don't know what I think about the episode to episode, so that will be interesting.
Yeah. Well, on that note, Twizzle_N asks if there would be a Merlin season 6. What are the things you would like to see in it?
That's really tough because
I find it really hard.
I find it really difficult because, like,
I mean, is it not just like because what happens at the end of season 5, but even like if we ignore what happens at the end of season 5, it's kind of really weird because, like, there isn't like, oh, I want them to do blah in season 6. I want them to have done blah in season 4 and 5.
Yeah,
I kind of want the fixing to start earlier.
It's not even. I don't know. A season 6 would not have fixed the problems of season 4 and 5. But equally, what I want from Merlin is more Merlin. Like what I love about Merlin is still in season 4 and 5.
And more would have been better because more.
And like I want to see Colin and Bradley doing their thing, and season 6
they would have done the thing.
If they'd been in it as the characters that they played, there would have been more of them being.
Bradley Jane could have taken his shirt off.
Characters, and that's great. But we're being very careful, Mark Allen. You're.
I am being very good. I am halfway through my drink, so I might start to be less good. But I'm very good so far.
I don't think.
Mark Allen knows what happens in the Arthurian legends better than all of us put together. Let's face it.
Probably work it out.
Yeah.
But I just struggle with a sort of notion of like season 6, like because more Merlin would have been great, but equally,
It just I very much I would. It's there's some TV shows that got cancelled before their time, and you feel like they had the rug pulled out from under them, and you could see where they were gonna go. Like, for example, we are very aware that we should finish watching Humans because it's also on Netflix now, so it's super easy. Colin Morgan's in it, but I am also very aware.
And Will Tudor.
And Will Tudor. Oh, I love him in that little puppy. Anyway, I am very aware that Humans got cancelled before their time, and that everything in the last season was leading up to the next season. So humans will be a really easy one to go, well, I want season 4 to be blah, because it's all the stuff that they were planning to do and didn't get a chance to.
Yeah.
Merlin doesn't work that way.
Yeah, I think it's also I don't know, it's just really difficult. It's just really difficult because
Sorry, my gallant hand is poised over the mute button.
we'll try and shout if we feel ourselves
We'll
getting
do
into
a
like
fliss.
more spoilery territory. But it's just really difficult because like with those things, it's like it's often when a show stops before you're ready for it to stop. It's the end point that is troublesome.
Mhm.
Like you're like, well, if we just deleted the last 3 episodes, or
Yeah,
whatever,
yeah.
and we could just continue. That
Well,
would
it's
be
like you
great.
concluded something I didn't like, or you didn't get to
Right.
conclude, or yeah.
Right, whatever. And that's not the case with Merlin.
Yeah.
So it's just more complicated, it's more difficult than that. So I also think that like Merlin finished when it did because the people involved didn't want to make it anymore. And
he wouldn't want there
and
to be more.
I wouldn't have
yeah.
wanted them to make it not wanting to make it. Like
So Mary says I have to sing my spoiler music before it happens. That's very true.
yeah. So like, you know, they wanted to do other things and they went off to do other things.
Yeah.
So
And also, like, they
as
went
it
off to
should
do
be.
amazing things.
Yeah. And as ever, like my irritation is that people don't plan out television story arcs
Mhm.
before they start.
Yeah, yeah.
And I completely appreciate that is in most situations an unreasonable thing to
Ask and
And
expect
expect.
to, you know, networks to go with. Yeah.
Right. But that's the problem, is that people don't plot things out beforehand.
But it's also like, I mean, you know, it's like Shadowhunters is one of those weird ones. Like, we fought for an entire bloody year to save Shadowhunters, and all the way through I was thinking, well, I don't really know how you could. Just
Well,
because, you know, they
I think-
actually did quite a solid job of wrapping it up.
Yeah.
And then you're getting into the, because you know, same thing with Merlin or anything else, when you get into the, 20 years from now kind of thing.
Like massive.
And it's a whole, you know,
or
it's a whole new
alternate
show.
universe kind of a
Yeah.
thing or whatever else. I mean, like with Shadowhunters, you just delete the epilogue and
Yes.
start from scratch, don't
And
you?
be done with all
Right.
that nonsense.
But yeah, no, it's
Garrrrrrrr.
tricky.
Yeah. So that's a lack of answer to Twizzle's question there. I think actually this is the Nuta. I'm not entirely sure about your Instagram name, but I think this is the Nuta. Is there anything you have been assuming you think about Merlin season 1 to 3, which totally changed up on rewatch? Plot, certain characters, best season.
I don't think anything massive. Like, there's things in the beat by beat, like things in the episode specifically that I was like, oh, okay, that's not. I didn't anticipate feeling this way about this, or
For me, I have loved to see you appreciate Bradley James in season 1.
that is true. I guess.
And I think that did come as a surprise to you.
Yeah, no, it did. You're right. I did not realize beforehand how totally he owns season 1, and he really, really, absolutely stole the season for me, and that's interesting. Yeah, no, that's true. But I tend to find that like I remember well enough, and like I watched the
You don't remember the 7x7 timetables,
right.
Yeah.
But like I watch things like I podcast them all the time. So I watched Merlin the first time round the same way I watch it now. I'm podcasting it, it's like that's just how I watch anything. That's how I read anything. So like,
well, it's something that, I mean, again, this kind of comes back to the podcast logistics and, just the nature of doing a podcast where, like, Ruth and I will be watching, like, Friends and we'll pause it to go, no, but see the thing about this. And it's like, it's Friends, who cares? Or, like, we're on the Great British Bake Off. And it's like, no, pause. See, the thing that's weird about this is that he's making a cheesecake now, but earlier in the introduction, he said he didn't like dairy. And it's like, okay, move on with your life.
Yeah.
So I do think like it kind of rewires your brain in a way.
But it means like I haven't watched the individual episodes with the close kind of detail that we watched them for the podcast. But
you still like broad
but I
strokes
have-
new. Yeah.
I'm not able to turn off my critical brain. I
Oh
guess.
no, I'm just looking at the comments. We've ruined Gaius for many people.
Yeah.
Like I always I feel like I always knew like Gaius was the worst, but I think in the casual watch I was a lot more on Merlin's side because Merlin doesn't think Gaius is the worst, and therefore I didn't think Gaius was the worst because Merlin rocks and he knows best. He's in the show.
Yeah. I think there's also
It's like Buffy's mum.
I kind of was under the impression that there was more dissonance between the Gaius that was presented and the Gaius that we actually got. You know, I kind of was under the impression that like Gaius was more accidentally the worst than he is.
Yeah, okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's like, but like actually when you stop and think about it, Gaius is the worst.
Like circumstances and
right. And it's like, did you guys really think about that before you made Gaius the worst? You seem to have accidentally made Gaius the worst. But I guess going through it again, it's been more like, no, this is actually genuine, just the way it's written. On the page, in the script, the way this story progresses, he's awful.
He sucks. Yep.
And clearly, either
either you meant that,
or you did it on purpose.
Which is like, wow. Yeah. Where did Mary? No, not Mary. Puppy Person says, how about a drinking game and commentary from you two while you watch the Great British Bake Off? Oh man, do you remember Fridgegate?
Yes.
Oh. What was it? It wasn't actually called Fridgegate because it's something to do with like whatever they put in the fridge. It had a snappier name than that. I also hadn't realised Merlin is the narrator of Arthur's story. I think actually, Mary, I don't think I really had. Like I kind of realised that the show's called Merlin, and then it wasn't really. But I never, stopped to then go further on that thought.
Yeah, it's like I think I hadn't ever articulated that specific before, and I hadn't quite worked through the implications of that. I knew that it was Arthur's story.
Yeah.
I knew that the show Merlin told Arthur's story and yet was called Merlin. And that made it a bit weird. You know, that kind of dynamic was a bit weird.
But it makes perfect sense because Merlin comes in and he narrates the thing. Like it just, it seems so logical in hindsight.
Yeah. So I kind of hadn't sort of like worked through articulating that or what that meant for the story and what that meant for Merlin's character specifically. But I was always very aware that the story beats that were actually the thing progressing the plot was Arthur's story. Which makes perfect sense because the Arthurian legend is always, Arthur's story. Like the whole thing is about this bloke who is the king and the actions that he takes and the people around him. It's like, but also, obviously you get more individual like interpretations that are very much Merlin's story.
Totally, but name the big Arthurian moment. One of them's Merlin, and that's dying in a crystal cave, like being locked up in a crystal cave. And it's like, that's it.
Yeah, but
and possibly doing the switcheroo spell with Uther, so Arthur can be born.
I mean, I think that's it. There are very much like the sort of machinations. There's much more sort of like puppet mastery Merlin, which means he's much more like in the fabric of the rest of the story.
But the puppet mastery is to make the big moments that are Arthur's.
Well, there's yeah.
Abigail watches YouTube people that love Gaius. I'm so unhappy about this. You should tell them.
You shouldn't tell them. Don't tell them.
Custard Gate, yes.
It's a much happier watching experience if you don't know that Gaius is the worst.
Custard Gate. Says Puppy Person. That's what the Great British Bake Off was.
I saw a Tumblr post that said that Merlin has a sort of negative growth arc. Interesting. We'll get into that.
Also, if you did, oh God, what? post was it on? Actually, if you head to our website and look at the comments for the what's the Gilly episode,
The Sorcerer's Shadow.
Sorcerer's Shadow, archaeologist D is making a comment on that, which is a conversation that you, I'm sure, would be welcome to join in regards to negative growth arc. Yeah, Mary agrees. Let them enjoy their innocence. The YouTube guys love us. Also, we just had a live question come in
Live questions.
right now on Instagram.
That's how popular we are. We get live questions.
This is from James Colton saying, if you could magically acquire any prop or wardrobe piece from the series, what would it be? I'm assuming the series being Merlin, but hell, Buffy, Shadowhunters, Merlin, go.
I want Mr. Pointy.
Yeah.
I want Mr. Pointy.
I got you Mr. Pointy for Christmas.
She got me it's a necklace. It's got Mr. Pointy on it. It's really freaking cute. But no, I want actually Mr. Pointy.
It's a little bit like we have a hang on.
Excalibur. Abby wants Excalibur.
This is only gonna work on the YouTube.
Yeah, Mary. On the Sorcerer's Shadow episode. Is that 312?
It's like a full size Mr. Pointy.
It is sort of. It's a
Hang on, I turn it round.
Oh.
So it's like a Mr. Pointy. Entertain our people for a second.
Okay. Oh, she's gone. You're gonna let them. Oh, I see. Once they finish, we can ruin Gaius for them. Yeah, that seems fair. That seems fair. She's
I made it myself with a crayon.
Michelle made this because she's insane and talented at everything she decides to do. She just like sits down one day and sort of goes, "Oh, I'm just gonna make a balsa wood sword because why not?"
It has no weight.
But look at that! Isn't that beautiful? Look at. Can you see the detail on this thing?
Who knows? I'm not really sure how.
I know she engraved it herself. This woman is mad.
And you can't kill anyone with it.
No, because it's balsa wood.
Yeah.
Therefore, you can take it into Comic Cons.
Well, it's also therefore you can, turn it into powder with your fingers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Morgana does have some beautiful costumes. Yes. I could not pull them off quite
But
as
no, that's the thing. It's like
it would just be.
there would be so many clothes I would want.
Yeah.
But I would also want the body to wear them with.
Yeah. You also want Katie McGrath to put them in.
It's like, can I have Clary Frey's body and then some of her jackets? Kind of thing.
Sweet person.
Yeah.
Bless her. But
Yeah, but she could still take you. This is what I like about her.
No, she couldn't.
She could beat the ever-living daylights out of you.
Only because she's got superpowers.
Well, except Cat McMara could beat the ever-living daylights out of you. Do you know how much boxing she does?
Only until you sat on her.
He could sit on her. This is basically my rule about, I don't understand why people are scared of chickens or, whatever. Like, anything that I can sit on the head of and win, I'm not scared of. And that includes Cat McNamara.
Does Merlin count as a prop? No.
No.
Though I do empathise with the desire to make him tea and take care of him.
I don't know, I would quite like the what are they calling it in the story? The goblet.
The cup of life.
Yeah, a cup of life, yeah. I was gonna say they're not calling it like what it actually is,
The
but
Holy Grail.
yeah,
Yeah.
the cup of life.
Yeah.
It's pretty, and I've always kind of wanted a medieval goblet, but what are you ever gonna need a medieval goblet for?
Yeah.
Whereas if it's a prop that you have, it's okay. Shadowhunter's prop, I would really like a Seraph blade.
Would you?
Well, I do have a random sword collection these days.
It's not a prop, but I want Magnus's flat. That's what I want.
Yeah.
I want to live in that flat.
Yeah. And again, I like so much of Magnus's clothes, but can I actually fit into them? No, I can't.
Capes. Lots of people want capes.
Well, capes are good.
They are good. And
I
lots
missed
of
many things.
admiration of your sword.
It's a good sword.
Puppy person wants to see you do heavy acting with your sword.
It weighs nothing.
It's absolutely nothing. It's like it's made of polystyrene.
Oh, hang on. It's also slightly too tall to actually do this, but like it weighs nothing. I could do not with this because it weighs nothing, but I don't know whether anyone has watched. It's like a Comic-Con thing where Bradley James is on stage and he's handed a sword and he's asked to like show off with his sword, and he does the casual thing of dropping it on his foot and then putting his gloves on and then flicking it up with his heel and catching it, which I thought was the coolest, like sexiest thing any human has ever done. And then I tried it and it's actually a piece of piss, because naturally, like anything, broom shaped or bar shaped that you flick that way comes up so you can catch it. It's a really natural way for an object to spin. So I kind of felt like I don't know,
You broke
like
it.
they discovered a
Look behind
magic
the
trick.
curtain,
It did, yeah. But it doesn't mean I can do that. I can do the casual flick with the heel thing and catching a sword.
Jess is confused over the fact that we have actual faces and are not, in fact, just voices. Here we are. This is us. This is what we look like.
I met a couple of people that listened to our podcast first in real life, and there was like just this like unbearable urge to ask them whether I sounded the way I
Do you
sounded in
look
their
like
head.
you sound? Yeah.
Well, no, more importantly, do I sound like I sound?
Oh,
don't
I
know,
see. Do you sound like you sound on recording?
like, when you say hi to me, do you go, "Oh my god, you sound like a podcast"? I mean, I don't often say hi to people, but going, "Hello." There's definitely a chicken. I am Michelle. This is Ruth. I don't do that, but yeah. What do I want from Buffy?
What do you want from Buffy?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. As far as a prop, it's like, I don't know. What do you want from Buffy?
Boat coat.
Can't wear that in real life. Now.
I had one.
I know you did. You had one made of plastic.
It was so plasticky and it smelled so much. Like you got a little tiny bit spiky in it and it smelled so much.
God, mid-2000s indie.
This is British pub bangers.
Yeah, I told you I wasn't going to vibe with
Bangers. You should take well enough and let them live their best life.
They deserve it.
You so have to be in charge of comments here, Ruth, by the way. I have no idea what anyone's talking about.
Abby saw you on telly with a goat once.
That is very likely. What goat? Did you watch the Farmers Country Showdown? Which, by the way, just in case anyone else wants to see me on telly with a goat once, it's being repeated on the BBC. Well, anyone who gets the BBC, it's being repeated on Wednesday or 45, maybe.
Yeah,
I'm not 100%
Abby says
sure.
yes, that's what it was.
That was not my best television appearance. It's because I pushed them towards like focusing on Sophie because Sophie's like adorable. She's the cutest. So did it. It wasn't my best television moment, but it was a good go. But yes, they are re-showing it because the BBC, just like every other television and anything else, streaming service, really has nothing else to do. There's no new television ever.
Teddy wanted to know where we're from.
Sorry, just quickly before James has come back on the being live on the this is so live. James's partner is casting us live on the TV, so they don't have access to the YouTube comments. That is how live this is. I'm very excited by this, James. Thank you very much.
Where are you from?
I'm from Switzerland originally. I was born in Switzerland and I moved to the UK in 2008. So I've been here 13 years. Well, 12 years,
12
really.
years.
Yeah, 12 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ruth is from right here.
I'm from London.
Born on this sofa. This very sofa.
I am born and raised actually from London. We're a dying breed.
So Ruth is a proper Cockney because Ruth was born within the sound of
Bow bells.
Bow bells. It's like St James. No, hang on. What?
Yeah. You can tell I'm a
Have
proper
I always
Cockney
called?
from my accent.
No, that is so much less adorable than my brother. Like when I not first came back home after moving here, but like how maybe like Easter the year after. I'd been here like 6 months, maybe 9 months, and my brother was mocking me. Actually, no, it was when you came home with me because obviously we were talking English to each other, and my brother was mocking me for like my Cockney accent. So you've never met a Cockney?
No, my accent isn't Cockney at all. It's not even remotely Cockney.
No.
I have a very RP accent.
Queen's English. Queen's English. Do we have more questions?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, also from what is potentially the Nuta. I didn't see whether the Nuta confirmed that was them or not. But anyway, what is your best / worst experience in fandom? Any fandom?
I don't know. It's a really tough question.
You want to ponder on it and ask a different question in the meanwhile?
Tea or coffee?
See, that's an easy question. I don't drink coffee. There are many times when I wish I drank coffee, and I love the smell of coffee, but I don't like the taste of coffee. And it took me
10 years.
not quite, but like 8 years, of living in the UK to become a tea drinker. Though I still think you all freaks when you go out for an entire day of doing stuff, and then you come home and you're sweaty and disgusting and you're hot, and you go, oh, I need a drink, and then you make a hot tea because you're freaks. I still don't get that.
Michelle was basically browbeaten into liking tea because it's one of those stereotypes that's absolutely 100% true.
Yeah.
Is that you walk into any residence or building in the UK and somebody within 30 seconds will have offered you a cup of tea. That's just the case.
It took me about 6 years of living here to realize that I was being horrendously rude by not offering people tea.
Yeah.
So I started offering people tea way before I started drinking it.
You don't have to say yes, that's fine. I mean, it will leave us all a little bit like abandoned on the social protocol.
Super on edge. It's like,
what do we do?
Get out the sword.
So yeah, I drink both tea and coffee with.
What's your preferred order of beverages? Because that's quite a big thing for people who drink both.
It depends on the sort of day I'm having. If I'm having a kind of quite leisurely morning, I like to start with tea and then have a coffee mid-morning.
Mm-hmm.
If I have to have a meeting or something first thing, then I'll jump straight to the coffee because I need the caffeine rush. Is it rude not to offer tea? It's not rude. It's just really unsocially expected. It's like
well, I realized I was having meetings at work, and I would offer them water, but I wouldn't offer them tea, and therefore I was like a dick.
It's just the social norm. It's not like, obviously you're not obliged to offer anybody a hot beverage, but kind of it's just what happens. It's just like people just, you come in, it's like, hiya, how are you? Tea?
Cup of tea.
Yeah.
But also, we've had a couple of builders in the house end of last year, and I offered them tea 12 times, and they just kept refusing it. So I suddenly found myself in the actual shoes of a real English person dealing with me.
So what do you do when they say no? So what do we do then? That's you don't know.
So
that's on you. You just have to cope with that.
Well, what I did was literally take them downstairs and do the thing of going, well, this is our kitchen, the kettle's right here, the tea's in this jar. Feel free, the milk's in the fridge, they're here in the door, milk, fridge. Feel free. Help yourself. Oh. Like Alan says, one of the best things about moving from South Africa to the US was I didn't have to make tea anymore.
And more to the point, you could not make tea.
No.
In fact.
Yeah, Ruth now has a kettle in America and imported tea bags.
Yep.
Mary says she started drinking tea because people would ask me tea or coffee and were looking completely lost when I say that I didn't drink either. Yep.
Yeah, we have a friend who doesn't just doesn't
Oh,
like
man.
hot beverages, and I
Literally all hot. Yeah.
just any hot beverage, and
Yeah.
I just don't know what to do with that. Like, what am I to do with you in this social situation? What can I offer you? I can give you nothing. There is nothing that therefore I might as well go and sit in the garden by myself because
Eat
I've
worms.
completely failed at
Yeah.
sociability. I've completely.
No, Abigail's saying that my worst fandom moment is happening now. It's in Harry Potter TikTok. People are literally getting harassed and bullied and made fun of because their favorite character is a bad guy.
That sucks.
It's also like, are we not past that? I mean, we're never
No.
past that. This is how fandom works. We're never going to be past any of that.
It's always rubbish. It's always stupid.
It honestly,
and-
I mean, that, to be honest, like, that is very much like my, no, it's not an isolated, this is my worst fandom moment, but just every time fandom gets up in arms about something really stupid and digs trenches over it, I just don't, like, I really hate any of the policing that goes on in fandom. I really hate any of the gatekeeping that goes on in fandom. And I just don't understand. Like, I ended up, you know how I ended up on that Shadowhunters list?
Yeah.
Basically, like, so someone from the Purity Police put together this list of horrible people in the Shadowhunters fandom.
High five, Julie.
And I was like number 12 out of 50 or something like that. And most, like, sane people took this as a list of awesome people to go and follow because they were writing interesting, messy, complicated fan fiction. And I mostly just felt really bad because I written 3 fan fictions in 3 years. I wrote 1 a year and that was it. So I just felt really bad that people might follow me and then be really disappointed by, like, my content. But yeah, it was just like, oh, literally, like, here's a list of people you should block because they endanger children. I don't even know. It was just awful. Like, I hate that about fandom. But I kind of also feel like that's what fandom does.
I think there's a really funny thing where people expect there to have been, I don't know, like a global fandom learning curve. Like every time it comes up, there's this sort of like,
aren't we past
done this already?
Yeah. Well, I literally just did it with Harry Potter.
Didn't we do this when we were like Harry Potter fans or Star Trek fans or Lord of the Rings fans or whatever we were before?
It's like, we did.
Hadn't we already done it? It's like, yeah, but there's new people and they're going through exactly the same cycle all over again.
Yeah.
It's
and
like,
they will forever.
It's tedious and boring, but it's just people being people. And
also, like, you know, everything about our past, you know, you kind of look at, you know, we think about LiveJournal. It's like, oh, things were so much better on LiveJournal. It's like, no, they probably weren't. It was 15 years ago.
Yeah.
And there was fewer of us, and it was smaller, and therefore it was less large scale.
The move to social media has changed things and made things weird and more difficult. Easier in some ways, but more difficult in a lot of ways. Julie, I suspect that that's because your piano teacher boiled water, which is something that, generally speaking, in the United States, people are not inclined to do.
What did Julie say? My piano teacher was British and said my mum was the only American who made tea properly.
Yes. So I suspect your mother boiled the
water.
Fully.
Rather than
actually boiled the water.
Put a mug of tap water in a microwave and then throw a tea bag near it.
Yeah. Boiled.
Yeah. Oh my God, Ruth was so sad when she came to Switzerland with me.
Oh.
And you ordered tea like a fool.
I didn't order tea. Your mother kept making the tea.
No, in the restaurant. You know when we went to eat like the little macaroons in that patisserie, and you ordered a tea.
Maybe.
Like the way that they serve tea in restaurants, in like cafes and restaurants in Switzerland, is that they get the water from the
coffee machine,
and then they put like a saucer on top of your cup, and then like they put it down and they go fast and bad and find like sugar cubes and tea bags. and put it next to it, and then they serve it to you, and then Ruth
It's like it's
goes on a rampage.
it's the worst. It makes me want to crawl up into a little hole and cry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I don't know if this counts as a fandom moment, but I've been using my free time to catch up on journaling. I'm in 2009, so I'm doing very well.
Mm-hmm.
Only got a bit more than a decade to go. But one of my favourite fandom moments was going to see Carl Barra in Fool for Love and him saying the thing.
The thing?
You know, remember
I
the
don't
thing. It made
remember.
me so happy. He came out afterwards. Basically, he's a musician, for anyone who doesn't know, Carl Barra from the Libertines.
That's another question. So that's how we met. We met because we were both massive Libertines fans. We're both involved in the Libertines fandom.
We met in Paris. But yes, Carl Barra from the Libertines was in a play, and he was understandably bricking it because he's not an actor. And we went to the opening night, and then afterwards we were in the theatre bar with him, and he said that on the first joke that's in the play, he heard me laugh in the audience and he knew it was gonna be okay.
Oh, yes, I do remember that.
Yeah.
Now you say it, I do remember that.
Yeah. It made me want to die at the time, but in hindsight, it does make me quite happy. Yeah, we met in February 2008. And then I left Switzerland, packed in my job, left Switzerland, and moved to the UK in October 2008.
That's how great I am.
That is how great you are. And I'm still here now. What other series do you want to make a podcast about? Says Twiddle.
I don't know. There's also things we want to talk about. Most of which will probably end up being
Thinky Thoughts
episodes. So we're just going through Farscape, and I've been desperate to talk about Farscape for 3 years. So yeah, we're going to talk about Farscape. I think we wanted to talk about Gilmore Girls at some point.
Mhm.
That would probably be a fun
Logan does no wrong.
episode. We have been desperate to talk about the first couple of seasons of Being Human.
Oh man,
for a really long time.
I think one of the things that we realized that we kind of started out with Shadowhunters, and absolutely that's what we wanted to do, and we were so naive and so new and so determined that we said we were a weekly podcast, therefore we had to be a weekly podcast. Never mind a bit where Shadowhunters decided to go on hiatus for 9 months and just left us in the ditch being a weekly podcast. So we made up so many random ass hiatus episodes. And then when Shadowhunters was cancelled, it was like, oh my god, we literally just got to a point where people listened to our podcast and it was going to be great. And now you bastards. But also, then it seemed this massive hole. Even though we'd started Thinky Thoughts just to have this other podcast that we could ad hoc talk about stuff, it felt like there was this massive hole in our life, and we'd always wanted to do a podcast.
We'd always been really clear that,
always,
that when Shadowhunters was done, that Merlin was the next one we wanted to talk about. Because, I think between us, we have had 3 great television fandom obsessions, and
Bradley James,
and that has been Buffy, Merlin, and Shadowhunters. And so we've done Shadowhunters, and we want to do Merlin, and there's loads of Buffy podcasts. So
yeah,
we've been really enjoying.
And there's loads of Buffy episodes.
Yeah, we've been really enjoying the Essentials episodes we've been doing for Thinky Thoughts. But I don't think either of us were prepared to get into the intensity of what it would take to do
all of Buffy.
Yeah. And it's just that's years. You're talking years of your life that is just too much. And I'm not sure that we could add anything significant enough to the conversation to make it worth the effort. So it's always been about talking about things that aren't overwhelmingly talked about. Do I listen to any Buffy podcasts? I do. I listen to Buffering the Vampire Slayer, which is really good fun. And I listen to Still Pretty, which is Lani Diane Rich's Buffy podcast, who was previously a Story Wonk, which was one of the big things that got me into podcasting, which ended in drama and divorce. So that's all unfortunate. But she has continued to do a Buffy podcast, which is really good. It's quite intensely like a feminist read of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, which I think is totally worthy and worthwhile. It's not necessarily the focus that engages me most. I think it's like there are other things that I enjoy talking about when it comes to do a Leverage 2.0 episode. I can't get her to watch it.
I'm watching Farscape, okay?
She is watching Farscape.
I'm watching Farscape.
I'll try for Leverage after that. If she watches Leverage, we will talk about Leverage.
No, like, I'm okay watching Leverage.
And yes, if we can get it to coincide with the Leverage 2.0, we will do it. I would do that now. I would talk about...
What is the Leverage 2.0?
So they're coming back and doing more.
Oh. I do like Mr. Kane.
You do like Mr. Kane.
Yeah.
I think you just need to get past the first few episodes of Leverage and get into like the rhythm of it.
No, like I have never watched an episode of Leverage. Like I've walked into the room like 3 times and I've watched 5 minutes of Leverage and I haven't said I hate everything and I'm gonna kill myself now.
After Farscape.
Yeah. It's just I'm watching Farscape now and iZombie.
And Angel. We're gonna watch that next.
Yes, we're gonna watch Angel.
Yeah. Are there any non-fandom podcasts either of you like?
I mean, I don't think it counts. Like I listen to Are You Having a Draft, but let's face it, that's a fandom podcast.
Like all the big like I've listened to Serial and stuff, and there are a couple of like history kind of things that I sometimes listen to.
I really like because I got vaguely into podcasts just because I was traveling to work. And I was kind of looking forward to the bit where I could, expand my horizon and learn stuff.
Yeah.
But then I stopped, going to work. So that didn't happen. I was listening to, oh God, I think I've unfollowed them, so I can't even bloody find it now. The 2 British ladies that do basically, they always swap topics. They choose a topic and then they do basically like 2 truths and a lie. But, not. They do like 5 big ones and 5 little ones. They do quite a lot of research on different themes and then they tell like paragraph intros to a point about this theme. And then the other one has to say whether it's true or not. And I cannot for the life of me remember what they're called because I can't remember what anyone's called in life. But I quite enjoyed that, but I got a little bit. They're very excitable.
Yeah, it's for me. It's more of it's like rather than a subject thing that matters. It's the voice that matters. It's kind of I need to get into the tone, and if I get into the tone, then all is good. And if I don't, then it kind of doesn't matter what they're talking about. I can't really get into it.
And there was a podcast I was going through all of the episodes of Pointless.
Yeah,
that was quite good fun. But again, just a little bit on the loud side. I have it with Are You Having a Draft every now and again. And, I love Bradley James, as many people know. But occasionally it's just like, oh my God, level 8 people.
Yeah.
Chill.
Level 8. It's a level 8.
Everyone level 8. Just, like I am so much louder than Rufus.
Yeah.
And this was, probably actually really helped us.
Yeah,
when we started the podcast,
I think there's a certain number of things.
I don't have an indoor voice.
I think there's a certain number of things that, like, just by the way that we were doing it, meant that we had to find solutions for.
Yeah.
And certainly the volume control was one of them. Like we tried for the first because we recorded the first
on your iPad
on my iPad with no mics whatsoever. And so we had it so like the iPad was like right next to me. And
it was like on Ruth's shoulder, and I was sitting on the other end of the room.
Other side of the room.
Yeah.
And
still I was louder.
Still not, still not perfect.
But no, levelating is one of the things that, because that's the other thing. I am really quite podcast snobbish these days.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, oh my God, you're such a snob. But I will turn on the podcast and I will turn it off within 5 minutes if they haven't got levelate and their sound quality is
no good.
bad.
Yeah.
Like, I will put up with someone who doesn't edit
Mhm.
if their content is really good.
Mhm.
But I do really struggle with people who don't edit as well.
Yeah. No, totally.
Just like, okay, I just listened to you cough and your dog bark
Yeah.
for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Why am I here?
Yeah.
So
Farscape is glorious, and I'm like, I hadn't watched it done a rewatch in quite a long time, but I'm remembering how glorious Farscape is and how much Aronson just really, really owns my whole heart. I love her so much. And yes, when we get to the Leverage, I will tell you, and we can rewatch together.
it's also, all I can say about Farscape is that this is my third go around on Farscape, and both previous times I didn't get past. Like, the first time I didn't get past the first season, and the second time I didn't get past like the end of season 2 kind of thing. But I just couldn't get into it. And this time round, we actually watched it with the official cast approved viewing order, which is not the order the episodes are on the DVD, and it's made all the difference in the universe.
Yeah, there was some airing nonsense that meant it got aired in a weird order.
Because the thing I always struggled with is that Crichton goes through a wormhole, meets all of these aliens, and then the next episode, he's fine.
Yeah.
And they're just off to do crime.
I think there's also, like, as with most shows, there's a particular tone that you just have to sort of get on board with. And the way Farscape operates is it just dumps you into the middle of the story. You just have to to jam with it.
But if you watch it in the official approved viewing order of the cast, it doesn't.
Concede that it helps.
Huge
But
difference.
I think you needed that in order to get into the tone.
Yeah.
Parker Person says, I haven't seen Farscape. This tip is intriguing. Watch Farscape. It's
okay. I will email you the viewing order if you're going to watch it.
Yeah,
hit me up on
totally.
Yeah, on the email.
I think it's
if
still,
you're going to watch it, I'll tell you.
It's on Prime, right now. I think.
Run.
But like, there's brilliant things about it. There's really awful late 90s things about it. But it has. I think I'm pretty confident in saying my favorite television romance of all time.
Yeah.
I think
it does genuinely things with female characters. It does astonishing things with sex positivity, considering how old the show is.
Yeah.
And they do okay with gender politics as well.
No, like
especially for this is like the time it was made in. It's kind of like, wow, you were ahead of your curve.
And it's found family sci-fi, which is like my favorite thing on the planet.
Oh, David Tennant does a podcast.
David Tennant does a podcast. That is fun. I like David Tennant.
And also, like, I mean, obviously, like, to me, it's fandom, but to David Tennant, it's not fandom.
yeah, totally.
So I think that counts. Look at Cat says, popped into my head while watching the Wing Saga. Is beer pong a thing in the UK?
Sort of. Like, generally speaking, drinking games are less of a thing in Europe than they are in the US because
less of a thing in the UK.
Europeans don't need an excuse to drink.
You just drink.
We just drink.
Yeah.
So they're less of a thing. But yes, people do play beer pong.
On that note, do you want to fetch more wine? Are you okay?
I'm all right for the minute,
Okay.
thank you. You haven't seen it since it aired. You do need to do a rewatch. Yeah. You do.
I played beer pong once.
Yeah.
When I went round to a friend's house who basically was two blokes living together, but they decided to, like, when they moved in together, they decided they were going to, like, run it like a frat house. So that was weird. This is Tom's place with Mark. And it's just like, oh, well, we're going to be a frat. And they happened to have a ping pong table. And the way that I played beer pong was that they ordered a beer pong game set off the internet, because that's how it works in the UK. We see it on American television, and then we go, a red Solo cup is the best cup there's ever been. So they ordered a beer pong set, which came with, I'm assuming, 3, 4, 5, 6, like 12 red Solo cups and a ping pong ball. And I think it might even come with a net, I don't know. But so yeah, I played beer pong once. I was depressingly bad at it. I was very upset with how bad I was at beer pong. But to be fair to me, they were all playing with beer, and I cannot stomach beer.
There was quite a fun bar near Old Street, which I went to with like my work friends a fair few times, where they did prosecco pong, which was
Of course there was.
yeah.
See, that would have been better, but because I didn't want to drink beer, I did it with rum shots.
Oh God,
So, like, obviously, I wasn't very good at it.
no. Yes, Firefly also important for the correct airing order.
I want to watch Firefly so much.
That is another one that we will talk about. At
Cows
some
weren't
point.
cows inside.
They weren't cows inside.
There weren't cows inside.
Somebody asked up above whether there's any book series that we really like. I can't remember who it was, and I'm not going to scroll up. But
We're really bad at
asked that.
scrolling. I love the Dresden Files. This is the Dresden Files by Jim Butcher, which I have talked about on pretty much every podcast we've ever done,
We've
and
talked about pretty much
everything outside of
we
things.
like, yeah.
But like, I adore the Dresden Files so much, very much for the world building and the way that Jim Butcher deals with all of your standard fantasy tropes. Like, one of the things that I don't think I've seen anyone else do it better is the dealing with vampires can't come into your home. And the way that Jim Butcher deals with it, or that, the Dresden Files world deals with it, is that a home depends on how much a home you make it. So someone staying in a motel takes very little power or magic to get through that threshold, because it's a temporary abode that actually you don't care about. Whereas someone's family home with their children and their spouse and all of their belongings, and the fact that they've repainted it every year because they love it, has an unbelievably strong threshold. And I've always adored that. It's one of my favorite, like, magical world building things.
Yeah.
It was such a good clip with the cows. I've been like randomly, literally thinking about it and crying about it. It's
true.
It's been 2020 for
Legit.
a really long time. Very long time.
And
But
yes, whoever asked above, I watched the first 2 seasons of Hannibal and then had to stop. Michelle,
I'm very glad that you're in charge of the comments.
Michelle has never watched Hannibal.
I never watched Hannibal.
And it's not.
I've watched Silence of the Lambs.
She needs to watch Leverage, but she wouldn't get on with Hannibal.
I have literally no interest in Hannibal.
No, I know you don't.
No.
But it did have Gina Torres and Lawrence Fishburne in it, which.
So I can watch Firefly.
Is at least worth a glance.
Yeah. Online 1 ping pong ball that's just asking for trouble. I think, to be fair, I think it may have been 3 ping pong balls. I think I may have undersold the online beer pong kit. I think there may have been more ping pong balls, but I do remember an extraordinary amount of crawling along the floor looking for ping pong balls. So it probably wasn't that many.
Yeah.
Why won't you let Howard scratch, bruv? He's not even here. What's wrong with him?
He was asleep on my bed last time I saw him.
This is a problem. Like, Howard has now decided that all of the house can be explored. So now he's not,
here
to hand at all times. Cardi wants to know, on a scale of 1 to 10, what is your favorite color of the alphabet?
Little nonplussed by that one, to be honest.
See, the thing that's really sad, I don't know, like, whether this is, I'm sure a lot of people have associations with numbers and colours, but I always felt like this came from years and years and years of playing Uno. But in my head, 4 is the colour blue. And therefore, from a scale of 1 to 10, my favourite colour of the alphabet absolutely is 4 blue.
That's so confusing.
Yeah. Well, the question's quite confusing, so I felt the answer should be appropriately confusing.
I haven't seen Discovery of Witches, Abby. No, that is a question that I feel capable of answering, unlike that one about the alphabet.
Someone just discovered that and is like,
is it
maybe
good?
Amy?
Should I watch it? Should we watch it?
Maybe Amy's massively into it. But yeah, someone literally during lockdown discovered it and went completely off the deep end
Crackers.
about it.
Yeah.
And I have only heard good things about it. And the posters were certainly intriguing. This was back when we left the house and looked at stuff. But I remember the posters on the tube.
Hmm.
They were quite cool. Where are you guys from? No, we done that.
We did that one.
Tea or coffee? We did that. This is a problem where I made Ruth also have some of the questions, and now I have doubled up on the questions. What is your Hogwarts house?
Hufflepuff. We talked about that at great length. See our Hogwarts house episodes.
Which
For-
we've done for both Shadowhunters
And
and
Melons.
Destiny and Chicken, so you
pick
can
your
go see
poison,
that.
yeah.
Yeah. But yes, Hufflepuff, Rising Rising Ravenclaw, Hufflepuff, Rising Gryffindor. I said words.
Big fat Hufflepuffs all around.
What's your Myers Briggs thingamajig? Is that the word?
Yes, yes.
Myers-Briggs?
I usually get INFJ.
I only literally, as I was asked this question, discovered this test.
She had a bit of a what was epiphany moment the other night.
Well, I don't know. Like, I felt so simultaneously seen and manipulated by the quiz.
Which is what personality quizzes do for you.
Yeah.
Yes.
But I was like reading through it. I'm like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. Yes, I do that. I say that. This is how I feel about people all the way through. And then I got to the end where they're like, well, you've probably been reading this going, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. It's like, I have been reading this going, oh my god. And you probably think, why do we know you so well? It's like, I did think that. And then they're like, well, for only £20, we can send you. Like, you bastards. So I probably am gonna pay the £20 just because they know stuff about me that I don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sure. Yeah.
But I, as an answer, I am ENFJ hyphen T. I don't know really what that means, but that's I checked. I'm outgoing, loud, and I do stuff. And when people have a plan to do a thing, I will give them 3.5 minutes to get on with it and do it, or otherwise I will take over the organization of it because he wanted to do it, but he clearly never ever going to get around to doing it.
Accurate.
So
the number of times I've started like reorganizing like a cupboard or something, you know, you've got like, oh, I'm going to reorganize my bookshelf, I'm going to take all the things off. And I was like, I'll start and I'll kind of get bored halfway through because I don't actually care that much. And like 45 minutes in, Michelle's like, no, but you need a system. You can't just put all the things back. You need a system and
like,
labels.
Hang on, I have a spreadsheet.
Do you want this book? Do you really need this book? When was the last time you read this book?
Does it bring you joy? Yeah,
that's how it goes. So yeah.
But the quiz said that other people put me in charge of things because I'm awesome.
Sure.
So it's not that I am, a dictator.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. I like to think that that's true. What are your top 3 romantic couples where one of them is from Shadowhunters and the other one is from Buffy? And this has 2 parts, this question. One of them is staying with the canon sexuality of the characters.
Yeah.
And one of them is taking the fanfic approach where everyone's magically pansexual because that is life.
Yeah.
Go.
Bye, Liz. Good luck with your homework.
Bye.
Thanks for joining us. Oh. Yes, yeah, it'll be on our YouTube channel after we're done.
Yes.
If nothing goes horrendously wrong with the tech.
I think YouTube should do it automatically, but I don't understand technology, so hopefully.
There's a kind of obvious Buffy Jace answer, which is like they could be blonde heroes.
They're such funky blondes.
That would be fun.
That would be so much fun.
I think Buffy definitely 100%. If like the evidence is anything to go, needs like Buffy needs a hero.
Yes.
To hero with. She can't go out with an ordinary dude because bless the masculine
didn't.
ego, they're far too fragile.
Yeah,
So that
that
doesn't
didn't
work
work
out.
out.
So I think that would work out. Like,
Yep.
Otherwise, I'm not.
We don't have a single gay male character in Buffy, do we?
No.
Apart from
Larry
Larry.
and Scott Hope.
Neither of which I'm letting anyone near Alec and Magnus.
No.
They don't deserve. No. Who could Magnus get with? I mean, like, canonically, Magnus and Drusilla is literally like that's what Cassandra Clare was writing anyway. With
Yeah.
What's her face?
Magnus and Cordelia might be fun.
That would be so much fun.
They'd be so fabulous.
Oh my god, they would be so fabulous. Cordelia would love
Own
him.
everyone. It would be brilliant. Yeah.
That would be fun. would be
Okay. And then
Who's Giles dating? Oh, Maris.
yeah,
Giles and Maris. And I mean, literally
Why not?
anyone dating Maris would be, lucky.
Magnus and Cordelia. I think that one's one for me.
Yeah, no,
I'm not going to do better
amazing.
than that. I'm not
No.
going to do better.
Yeah. I think that's yeah. I think we're done with
I'm
that.
done on that one.
That's it. That was awesome. So. What is your favorite soup? In honor of my Instagram typo about soup searching.
Mushroom, probably.
Oh, really?
Probably.
Oh.
Good mushroom soups.
Yeah.
Bad mushroom soup is.
Well, these are the things like bad
great
mushroom
taste.
soup is worse than any other soup in the world.
But I think if
yeah.
a French
Bad
onion,
mushroom soup is so dangerous.
French onion is
Yeah.
well up there. I'm a big fan of French.
I bought French onions.
Leek and potato, that's a good one.
We both really like soup, so there's a lot of soup.
Any food that you blend into soup form, really, I'll give a go.
It doesn't really matter,
Yeah.
just blend it and then soup.
As long as it doesn't have the evil animals in it. Not the animals that are evil.
The evil animals like
the soup
honey
the
badgers.
soups that are evil because they have these.
Like oxtail soup rather than honey badgers.
Yeah, no, there's nothing wrong with the animals.
Yeah.
It's the soup that becomes evil because
you put the animals
are in it. Yes. Nope.
I think my favorite is minestrone.
Oh yeah, I know, like minestrone.
I like minestrone. I don't know, there's something like I'm having soup, so I'm like being healthy and awesome, but I'm also having a little bit of pasta. A little bit of pasta. Yeah, it's a sneaky pasta. I like making leek and potato. Like there's some soups like I have made minestrone. I've never enjoyed minestrone I've made. I like Heinz tinned minestrone. They do a good job. No, since Ruth got COVID, Heinz tinned minestrone, not other Heinz soups, just a minestrone tastes like, is it coppers or blood or death?
It's like pennies.
Yeah.
It just tastes like really metallic tasting.
It has ruined Heinz minestrone tin soup, which is really sad. For it is the best.
End of minestrone tin soup for me. Welcome back, Januta. And yes, those were her questions. Yeah.
Yes. Okay, so I was right on the Instagram username.
Yeah.
I'm getting better with this. Yes. Mary wants to know. Oh, hang on. Let me go to the beginning of that. Would you rather never watch a specific TV show again or only be able to watch that one specific TV show? I.e., would you rather never watch Buffy again or only watch Buffy for the rest of your life? That's brutal.
It is brutal, but there's too much good television. I'd have to say never watch the television show again.
Also, this only says never watch a specific TV show,
I mean,
not your favorite.
I assume in order for it to be a worthy sacrifice,
You could never watch Brooklyn Nine-Nine ever again. And watch all of the television.
I assume it'd have to be something that I liked. I'd have to sacrifice something to. But no, there's just too much.
Never watch Merlin ever again, but watch all of the television. It has to be all of the television.
Yeah.
I would be sad.
It would, it would be
but
sad,
also, fanfic is still there.
exactly.
Yeah.
And quite honestly, 90% of the time I'm watching episodes of television in order to justify my reading of a fanfic anyway.
True.
So.
True. If you didn't live in London/England, where would you like to live? On that note, someone early in the comments I saw asked whether it's worth moving to the UK, because that's something that they would want to do at some point. And certainly, like, I am never moving back. Like, I had been wanting to move to the UK for 2 or 3 years, and I had various people over in Europe that had the same thought, but just didn't quite. Like, it wasn't, I was very motivated to move to the UK, but I didn't want to do it by myself. And I had Austrian and German friends that were also planning to move to the UK, and it just didn't happen. And then luckily I met Ruth, and we got very drunk at Glastonbury Festival, and I handed in my notice the week after. So that was very serendipitous. But yeah, I loved moving here. I love living here.
I think it probably depends a little bit on where you're moving from
and why you're moving.
Yeah. And I think the UK is a slightly difficult place to live at the moment.
Right now, yep.
And there are other places which are doing life better.
Equally, there's a lot of places at the moment that are difficult places.
But I think politically, the UK is in a slightly difficult place at the moment.
So it wasn't 10 years ago.
Which it wasn't 10 years ago, at least not the same. Right. The only decent place to live right now is New Zealand.
Yeah.
But just generally, there's some real difficulties with stuff that's going on that makes the UK less than ideal, I think, at the moment. But
yeah, New Zealand are doing very little wrong right now. They're doing a pretty good job all around. But yeah, where else would you want to live other than London/England? I mean, I don't know, like, lockdown's really changed things. Like, Ruth's been wanting to just, pack up, go up north and open a tea shop for most of 2020.
Yeah, I'm like, I think really, truly, I'm a real city mouse. So kind of, if it wasn't London, it would have to be another, and there's particular cities that I kind of vibe with, and ones that I don't. But lockdown has changed things. It's made, like, what's the point in living in the middle of London if you can't go out into the middle of London? So you might as well have a nice garden and be able to afford a house,
It's one of the things, like, just, speaking of what Bradley and Colin went on to do after Merlin, but, we have seen pretty much every play Colin Morgan's gone on to do because we live in London, and we, lucky enough to live in London. And that suddenly, like, in the middle of lockdown, is like, well, what's the point of living here?
Yeah. I love London. London's in my bones and in my blood, and I love it. I love this city. And I find it quite difficult to imagine living anywhere else. But equally, there are lots of other nice bits of the world, and I'm sure that should I move to any of them, I'd work it out. Like,
also, if we moved up north, we could buy a field and we could have Fred and Barney the goats.
That's true. That is true. Advantages, pluses.
Because we can't have Fred and Barney the goats here. You said they can't live in the kitchen.
Yeah. I have a bit of a difficulty with the kind of concept of living anywhere that's not the UK, because I don't speak any other languages, and I have a kind of real anxiety about being not understood.
Yeah.
Like, obviously you can learn other languages, but the idea of being inarticulate in German or Spanish kind of fills me with horror.
Well, as long as you'd rent a Baumhaus, you'd be fine.
So kind of, without being like really confident of my fluency in another language, I'd really struggle to even entertain the possibility of living in a country that wasn't English speaking.
Yeah.
And I'm a sort of nervous wreck when it comes to speak. Like, I speak very, very, very basic schoolgirl French, and I'm a real nervous wreck when it comes to speaking it to French people.
You have to do it.
Social anxiety, rather than because I think anybody's actually going to be like. Obviously, people are usually quite nice when you're endeavouring to do your best speaking a language that's clearly not your first language. Yeah, it's just I think for people who rely quite a lot on like articulacy and literacy and I'm quite an articulate human, and I quite I rely quite heavily on making myself clearly understood. And it's not just it's not just that like I don't speak French. That's,
well, it's not
okay.
just,
I don't speak
being
French,
able
but,
to like get groceries and order food in a
It's
restaurant.
like I want to be able to
have conversations.
Yeah.
I see so many people who live in London who have seen famous people just all around. It's just normal. Like Tom Hiddleston is sitting right in front of you on the tube. Like what? Yeah, I mean, we have seen some celebrities out in the wild. We went through a phase of seeing what's his face, the new Doctor Who, middle
Matt
Doctor
Smith.
Who.
We saw Matt Smith like loads
all
of
the time. Matt Smith went to gigs that we went to in like teeny tiny indie venues.
We went through a DJing phase.
And so that was kind of cool, and actually Doctor Who sightings all around, because we had a friend who lived up north, like North London, and she saw David Tennant all the time because that's where he lives. And I know many people have seen Anthony Stewart Head on the tube because he travels on the tube because he's a normal human.
He lives in Bath, doesn't he?
Maybe. I
think so.
Maybe.
Or he used to.
Yeah, who knows? So yeah, it happens.
I think that's the case with like most big cities, though.
But that's like living in LA.
Or New York.
Yeah. On a similar note, would you rather never read fan fiction again or only be able to read fan fiction?
Only read fanfic. No question, no hesitation.
Well, I mean, considering that, I'm currently trying really hard to read a book, and I've been reading The Raven Boys for literally 2 years at this point. Fan fiction all the way. Absolutely all the way.
No question.
Which TV series / film deserves a remake?
Remakes are tricky. So there's quite a lot of books that were at some point made into films that I think now we've kind of, as a society, wrapped our heads around the idea of adapting things into TV shows, which are actually a more natural for most books,
way to adapt.
It's a more natural way to adapt a book because you have to cut less out. So I'm kind of desperate for them to do a proper Little Women, Good Wives TV series, like do it properly.
Unfortunately, they just did another movie, and it was not good.
I didn't like it. It did not work for me at all. So that is something that I'm really keen on. I've always thought that Artemis Fowl would make a really, really good television series if they could get that right. I really enjoyed those books when I was younger.
I read some of those. They're always a little bit too spy for me to get into.
Yeah, I enjoyed them. I thought they were fun. I would say Dark Materials, but they're making that right now, and I'm.
It didn't work for Ruth. I just wanted to watch the second series.
I've watched the first 4 episodes.
Puppy Person says, have you done any fanfic recs for the Buffyverse?
I don't really read Buffyverse fanfic.
I read Buffyverse fanfic a very long time ago. I would have to do such heavy rereading and editing. Like anything that comes to mind right now, I know is shit. I was very young and I was very new to fanfic, and I was reading what at the time was very rare pair, Xander Spike / fic, because there was like 4 of us. So stuff wasn't exactly good, I don't think. It's been a very long time. But I did enjoy it.
Yes, the Winona Ryder version is the version, and I will take no substitutes on
of what?
Little Women.
Okay. It's like I thought it's Dark Materials. Like I don't think she did that.
No. I mean, I'm sure Winona would be great in
Sure.
She's great in everything.
She's the lady from the thing with the little kids and the aliens and the upside down, yes?
Stranger Things.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
Cool.
Any thoughts on Outlander? Yes, many thoughts on Outlander. That's an interesting TV series. It looks beautiful.
Yes, he does.
There's production values like out the wazoo, which I think is quite striking on television these days. I think there's a really interesting thing about creating that kind of series that's very, very much from the female gaze, and I think that's quite positive.
Yeah.
And like as far as that is concerned, that's really positive. I think there are massive issues with the story, which are
They're in the novel.
they're in the novels, and then they're in the
being
TV
adapted,
show,
yeah.
and kind of that's just there, and they didn't make drastic changes from the novels to the TV show, which I
Because you've read all of them now, or certainly a lot.
I
of
read.
them?
I read the lot. Yeah. Any thoughts on Discworld? I love Pratchett, and it would be fantastic to see a good adaptation of some Discworld. I think it's a really difficult thing to adapt, and I think you need a really careful hand with the adaptation that has yet to emerge. I'll be really interested to see how they've just confirmed, well, a while ago, they confirmed that Sandman was going to be adapted. And obviously...
Well, Neil Gaiman is being very cagey, but also very outspoken about the lack of cast for Sandman.
It's just actually just been confirmed.
The cast?
Quite a lot of the cast has been confirmed. And that, well, obviously it's not a similar tone in any way whatsoever, which is the big thing with Discworld. I think the tone is really difficult to capture. And, Good Omens, I think, was really hit and miss when it came to the tone. But I think the fact that Sandman, American Gods, that those sorts of Gaiman things are being adapted is interesting as far as the like fantasy vibe of television adaptations, which could translate into quite an interesting Discworld adaptation. So I think we may be in a slightly different position to talk about Discworld adaptations in the next couple of years than we are now. But as of yet, I have not seen anything that has made my heart go pitter-pat.
But also, what is there in this world that makes living worthwhile?
Cats.
Cats are nice.
Cats are nice. Cats are nice. Gwendolyn Christie as Lucifer. Yeah, that's really exciting. I have some question marks about her acting chops.
Who's Gwendolyn Christie?
She played
Who's she in Harry Potter?
Brienne of Tarth.
Oh, okay. Right.
Game of Thrones.
Okay.
There was another question in there somewhere. Oh, it's like, thoughts on the fact there talks of a Harry Potter TV show. I think this is a very, very bad time to do a Harry Potter adaptation of any kind whatsoever.
It's like everyone just sit down.
And I think of all of the stories in the world, there are some that need attention, and Harry Potter isn't one of them.
It's also like, honestly, I don't think the movies were that bad,
It's really tough because I think honestly, TV shows are better suited to adapt books,
yes, of course,
than films are.
Course.
Like, I think there were things that got cut out of the Harry Potter films, which were some of the things that made the books wonderful and weird.
Yes.
And textured. There are things that inevitably get cut out of the films, and I think you don't have to cut all that stuff out of a TV show. So yes, it makes a more natural pair just because you get the hours to do the page time.
Yeah, of course. No, totally, but I just don't think,
but I don't think it's something that we need to do now. I think, let's talk again in 20 years.
Let's just make some new television.
Let's
tell
adapt
different stories.
Let's adapt something else.
That hasn't been adapted.
Let's adapt some Diana Wynne Jones or Ursula Le Guin or just something else.
Oh, do the one with the Griffins. Diana Wynne Jones with the Griffins.
Oh, the Diana Wynne Jones. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I like that one.
I thought you meant an entirely different,
No, hers with the Griffins.
Yeah. So I just think there are other things. Yes, Chrestomanci would make a fantastic TV series.
There's not a Griffins one.
No, it's Diana Wynne Jones.
Boom. But I like the Griffins.
Lives of Christopher Chant would make an absolutely brilliant TV series.
But I do just think that, yeah, generally, just turn books into TV series is not they're not movies. It's just not.
But yeah, I don't think we need more
I just think the amount
Harry
of stuff
Potter.
you have to cut out of it
at the moment.
just means you're not left with anything.
Yeah.
Just no. Which TV/film people, as in cast and crew, have you met?
From Merlin or from?
I think just from life. We met most of Shadowhunters.
We've done quite a few Shadowhunters cons, so we've met pretty much the entire.
Pretty much all of, yeah. We haven't met Alan Van Sprang.
No, but pretty much the entire Shadowhunters cast.
Have you ever met anyone from Buffy?
Anthony Stewart Head.
We did. We met Anthony Stewart Head. He was really drunk. It was a lot of fun. He was really drunk at the poshest after party.
So weird.
I think either of us have ever
It
attended.
was so weird. We went to a thing at the Old Vic called the
25-hour musical. So the Old Vic used to do the 24-hour theatre where they got in a bunch of famous actors and they got them to write stories, block and put on plays within 24 hours. They were up for 24 hours. At the end of the 24 hours, they would perform them for an audience. And it was always for charity. And then that year, they decided that this was a lame challenge and we should up the stakes. So they made it the 25-hour musicals. So they had to write songs on top of writing plays and put it on. And yeah, it had loads of people in it, but
Andy Stewart Head and Colin Morgan both,
my boy finished.
both performed in it.
And I got a little bit overexcited when buying the tickets. So I didn't just buy
Not
the
the
tickets.
first or the last time for anybody who's paid any attention to our.
I bought the tickets for the thing, but also the after party.
Yeah.
Which was so posh.
It was so posh.
So posh.
There were like a bazillion super famous, very highbrow British actors there because it's a charity thing at the Old Vic, right?
So everyone has to make sure they're seen at the thing.
The audience is full of theatre Illuminati. It's really intense. So it's Jeff Goldblum was there and Celia Imrie was there.
Also, Jeff Goldblum was just free ranging.
Free range Jeff Goldblum.
And he's so tall.
They were. It was and then there's me and Mish. It was in the middle, going, "Oh my god, look, it's Giles!" and possibly drinking a little bit too much of the free bar and indulging a little bit too much in the fact that they had tiny cheesecakes and little tiny fish and chips.
It was they served the food that was going around was obviously amazing, but also super posh, but also working really hard at being quite cool and British.
Yes.
So they served tiny fish and chips in tiny newspaper cones. It was so precious.
But yes, we
and mostly our photographs of Ruth, just with the tiny cheesecake.
Tiny cheesecake.
And yes, there was a lot of free booze, which they better be because oh my god, did we pay a lot of money on those tickets? Which I think is also why we drank our body weight in free booze.
Yeah, it was all it was all a bit mad.
And mostly because we kept bumping into Jeff Goldblum. It was I need another drink.
Not oh yes, hi Jeff Goldblum.
No,
nice to meet you, Jeff Goldblum. Yeah.
Plonk.
Because he was free roaming. But yes, we did meet Anthony Stewart Head.
Who was equally drunk.
He was equally drunk, which was good because we were not
very good,
quite as sober as I would have liked us to be, considering meet your heroes when you're drunk, everyone. But he was very nice, and Mish had her picture taken, and I took the picture because I couldn't be in a picture with Giles because I'd died. But yes,
I had a picture. We took a picture with the Nokia phone we had at the time.
Yeah, the picture quality is awful. I think you can only just barely tell who's actually.
Literally, both my picture with Anthony Stewart Head and Colin Morgan from that evening, and it's if you know exactly what they look like, you can tell. It's like me in Star Wars.
Yeah.
If you know exactly which pixel you're looking at,
yes.
It's awful. I've met both James Masters and Amber Benson.
Yep.
And I went to see a play with Alison Hannigan, but I didn't meet her. But I saw a play with her. I think that's all the
Anthony Shorthead's the only Buffy person other than that.
Buffy people. That's because you never went to see Ghost of the Robot.
That's true.
Obviously the best.
True. We're very
Um,
big Harry Potter musical fans, yes. Very fond of Harry Potter musical.
We've not met Darren Chris, but we did attend
Went to
Elsie
Elsie
Fest, and it was really good
It was
fun.
good fun.
Elsie Fest being the musical festival that he puts on every year in New York, which was very good. I actually just recently tidied up my laptop, and I took an awful lot of videos off my laptop onto an external hard drive for space saving reasons. I couldn't bring myself to move the Harry Potter musical files because they had to stay there for always. They're good laugh. I think that might be like all the famous TV people I've met. I mean, like,
Yeah, we've met quite a lot of the Merlin boys. We met quite a lot of the Merlin
Yeah.
boys because we went to that football
oh
thing.
yeah.
So
So
we
yeah, we
met
met Bradley
Tom
James and
Hopper.
Tom Hopper.
And Bradley James
Owen
and
Macken.
Owen Macken and Adetomowa
Yeah.
and Alex
Flavos.
Flahos.
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 Lahos. We didn't do that
We
at him.
didn't do that at him.
I love Lahos.
Flahos. They were all very nice. Tom Hopper is genuinely
He's
the
huge.
sweetest human being.
But he's also
He
huge.
is huge.
Huge.
But yeah.
I met what's his face from Star Wars,
J.J. Abrams.
J.J. Abrams, but I meant the actual what's his face from Star Wars, Luke Skywalker. What's
Harrison
his face?
Ford, you
I met
mean?
Harrison Ford. He was very nice. He was getting lasagna. And
Didn't Mark Ruffalo say you liked your bunnies?
yeah, Mark Ruffalo. He was squeezing fruit. I worked with Mark Ruffalo on a movie. And John Boyega,
Yes, yeah.
who's huge now, wasn't huge
Yes,
then.
it was definitely Harrison Ford. It was definitely she means Harrison Ford.
Yes. I'm sorry. I clearly did not appreciate meeting any of these people enough. I was working at the time. I was trying to be professional. I was answering alpaca facts to J.J. Abrams.
Yeah.
I had to. But yes, John Boyega, who was, a nobody at the time.
Yeah.
And a little bit big now.
No, true.
Especially, never mind post the movie, but post the politics.
Mhm.
Huge now.
Mhm.
I did meet a Hulk. He was very nice.
You liked your bunnies?
He liked my bunnies. He was super down to earth. Actually, I met Daniel Radcliffe. He was on that show too because he worked on the same bloody movie.
Yep.
Daniel Radcliffe, unbelievably professional. Not squeezing any fruit whatsoever, and no time for bunnies, but not in a rude way, just in a I'm actually here to do a job kind of way.
There's not
There's nothing wrong
bunny
with that.
involved.
Yeah.
In any way.
Nothing wrong with that. Who else have I worked with?
Did you actually meet James Corden?
Yes, I met James Corden and
Emily
Emily
Blunt.
Blunt. And I spend an awful lot of time with Johnny Depp's body double.
It's true. Anya does not like
Anya
bunnies.
does not like bunnies. I think that might be it.
Hmm.
Oh, what's his face? Rob Stark.
Oh, what's his name?
Who knows? Because he was the prince in Cinderella, wasn't he?
He was the Prince of Cinderella. Yeah. Richard.
So, I don't know.
Somebody's going to tell me in a minute.
Yeah. James Corden is lovely. Absolutely lovely. And I had a slightly embarrassing moment where I had loose chickens in the scene with him, and then one of the chickens decided to go completely crackers and try and fly up onto one of the rafters. We were filming outside in like a real village, so like outside stage. And one of my chickens decided to just leave, and it was terrifying for a moment. And I caught it mid-flight,
Madden, that's the one.
and literally caught it, grabbed it, tried to walk away because I was really embarrassed because I wasn't doing my job properly. And then everyone on set gave me a standing ovation for catching the chicken, including James Corden, which was quite a nice moment, even though I was mortified,
Nice.
absolutely mortified. I think that's all the famous people I've met. I think.
I sold a book to
Oh yeah,
Ralph Fiennes,
Ralph Fiennes.
and Samantha Morton.
Yeah.
Separately, they weren't together. And I've met Dominic Cooper and Samuel Barnett,
Yeah, yeah.
which I was very, very excited about at the time.
It's also again that's celebrities in the wild.
Yeah, well, there were
Yeah.
celebrities at work, but yes.
Also, we've seen Michelle Barton's breasts.
Yeah, that was
I mean, not that it was hard.
Misha Barton.
Okay, I'm pretty sure everyone's seen her breasts.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, loads of musicians, but
Musicians are a slightly different deal.
so
You buy a ticket to see them and they're in the same room.
They're there. On that note, what's your most fangirly moment?
I don't quite know what. Like, I've had a number of fangirly moments. I'm not a very cool person. Like, I went to see Colin Morgan and The Tempest 6 times. That wasn't cool.
I think, like, considering we went to see Colin Morgan in the Tempest 6 times, I think we were fairly cool about it.
Yeah, no, I mean, like, I'm quite a restrained
We
human.
turned up outdoors and we left after the play,
No,
and we didn't try and steal his trousers.
No, I keep my like madness quite internalized.
Breakfast with Matthew Daddario. I mean, you
awful.
weren't fangirly, you were just starstruck, or not even starstruck.
Well,
it's just like
nervous.
he's just a very beautiful
I
man.
was just a nervous wreck.
Very nearby.
But I think this is the thing about me is I don't tend to get like embarrassing. I just go non-verbal, very red, and like horrendously embarrassed. So I don't actually have very many good stories because I think in order to have good stories, you need to put yourself forward a little bit more. Whereas I tend to hide and die, and that's less. So I don't have a good answer.
Also, I think honestly, I think most of our good stories are like from with like small indie bands that were moderately famous in 2010 or 2008.
2005.
Yeah. So I'm not going to even make for good stories outside of a very small circle of humans.
No.
I was on Good Morning Britain.
Yes.
And I can't remember what the guys who do the show are called, but those are fairly famous people because they do a British morning television show that is watched by millions of people.
Uh-huh.
And I said a funny thing and they laughed.
That's a great story.
That was pretty good.
Great.
I don't know who they are, but they're pretty famous to most English people. I don't know. I think we should probably call it a day soon and go for dinner. Do we have any questions? Because we've been really bad. Like you said, last time we did one was October. So we've been very bad. But as a final question,
unless anyone has anything burning in the chat there.
Ooh, very topical. Slide downer, but possibly slide upper because Mary asked, "Will you get the vaccine when it's your turn?"
I was just vaccinated. I was just vaccinated. I was vaccinated on Wednesday.
Ruth is now 80% COVID proof. Boom.
So we'll see if the second part comes through in 10 weeks, whenever it's supposed to.
6 to 8 weeks, I believe.
It's 12. The lady told me.
Who knows? I don't know anything. I wasn't vaccinated because I can't get the vaccine for 4 months due to a medication I'm currently on. But I will absolutely get vaccinated when I am physically allowed to do so and able to do so without...
I don't know, exploding or something.
I don't know. I mean, I think mostly it's because...
I think you definitely explode.
Yeah. I think it's blowing up. I like to think it's blowing up.
Your head spins around and falls off. That's just what happens.
Relatively dramatic. Yeah. Come on, otherwise, like, what's
you turn
the point?
green or something.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Big oozy pustules.
Wow. Get vaccinated, people. It will help us all get back to a normal world that we don't remember. I think mostly at the moment, like I know quite a lot of people that are either have vaccination stories or are volunteering in vaccination centres and things like that, where it's just like they're working really hard to vaccinate people, but also they like people who have appointments aren't turning up for them. So there is, this is literally how Ruth managed to get vaccinated already, because you wouldn't have been due to get vaccinated for another year or so.
Like tier 8 or something.
But it's just that people weren't turning up, therefore there was a free slot. So do keep an eye on any of your local areas, like newsletters or Facebook groups or whatever there is. Just because I have seen a lot of boroughs here in London say email blah or follow this Twitter account or whatever, be in a queue of cars where suddenly someone asks you whether you want to get vaccinated while you're queuing in a car. Just because people aren't turning up for them, they have vaccinations going to waste. But hopefully, we are very much on the way
Fingers crossed.
to a new normal. It feels very weird being in the middle of rewatching iZombie right now. The new normal is covered in zombies. But yeah. Shall we sign off then?
Yeah.
Thank you to everyone who came in to join us today. It's nice hanging out with virtual people. This is the most pub-like we can do. Wee. Get your glass up here.
I haven't got anything left in it. It's
It
really
doesn't matter, it's still a glass. Wee.
Yeah, see you for season 4. Those of you who are coming
Merlin
to join
people.
us for that one. And yeah, no, super nice to chat to you all. Lots of love to all of you, and stay safe and stay sane and all of that. And
As always.
yeah, we'll try and do this again in another couple of weeks. And yeah, we'll try.
Yeah, we'll go back to original lockdown where we did lives all the time.
Yeah.
Because life.
Yeah.
So yeah. We'll see you soon, hopefully.
Bye everyone.
Stand there.
Ah.
You're doing a Math of the Dario. Push the button. Push the button again.